I'm just waiting for Councilwoman Hinton to get back in her chair. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate your patience. Fishing's good. Be a fisherman.
Oh, we got
Fishing's good.
Yeah.
Use the same all
How big?
Wow.
Beautiful.
Have to earn that. Yep. You really have to earn that spot in the boat.
I just bought another new fly rod.
You won another new
I
flyer?
bought another new fly rod. I told my husband he had to have one.
He does.
So now we are owners of 2 fly rods.
It's.
Go girl. Where did she go?
Maybe the rest.
She knew it was 5.
Are we good? You're good to go? Okay. We're going to go ahead and get started. It's about 5 minutes past 5. And so we'd like to call this regular scheduled meeting of the Santa Clara City Council to order. Really like to welcome our special guests that are here tonight, and we'll go do some introductions here in a few minutes. But we'd like to begin the meeting with an opening ceremony. Councilman Drake will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And the opening comments will be offered by Deanna Martin from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So we'll go ahead and go to that point. Would everyone please rise and salute the flag?
If you'll please follow me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible.
First, I'd like to say thank you from the Interfaith Council for inviting us to say the prayer. Yeah, we love to do it, and it shows the diversity in this community. So thank you very much. So if you'll join me in prayer, please. Heavenly Father, we bow our heads before thee to give thanks and gratitude for the bounteous blessings thou bestows upon us each and every day. We're grateful for this wonderful country that we live in, where we can have freedom of religion and freedom to vote for these people who represent us. We are grateful for them and ask a blessing to be upon them and their families for their service. We ask that thou will bless them with wisdom and compassion and the ability to compromise so that they'll be able to do what's best for this community. We thank thee for all thy many blessings in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. We appreciate you being here tonight. I'm Rick Rosenberg. We have present tonight a full council: Councilman Ben Shakespeare, Councilwoman Lena Mathis, Councilwoman Krista Hinton, Councilman Denny Drake, and Councilman Jarrett Wade are all here. We appreciate them being here. Council, with your permission, I'd like to take a minute right here at the start of the meeting. And most of you are here for the introduction of our new Justice Court, our new judge. Jake Graff is here and with his wonderful family, and we appreciate him and look forward to working with him as we go forward. And, hopefully you'll get the job situation settled out and your wife can smile a little bit more, Jake. But we do appreciate you and look forward to working with you. But by the same token, it's Judge Armstrong has served this city well for many, many years. Judge, when did you start? In the year 2000. I was going to say he was a sitting judge when I was first elected to the city council in 2001. That's been forever ago. And he's done a magnificent job. It's been nice running into him in the hall where our offices are next to each other and get to see him once in a while and really appreciate his service. Judge, I'd like to give you a key if you'd come up.
I'm on it.
You're on it. Give the fishing boat.
City.
Look at the judges. But the secret behind good justice courts are the clerks. And you're getting a fantastic judge, but you've already got a fantastic clerks. And they're the ones that really, they're the ones that answer the phones every day. They're the ones that take the grief. I mean, it's funny. They'll give a bunch of grief. The same person comes in here and they're before the judge and they're as nice as they can be. And so, but you know, you've got a good staff, great to work with, and I've just appreciated every minute of it. So you're in good hands.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Okay, general citizen public comment. I haven't received any. Anybody here like to speak to the council? Look at them run. Thank you. Yeah, he bolted.
Got a lot of
Take
mates.
care, Jake.
Got the key to the building.
Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to conflicts and disclosures council. Is there anything on the agenda tonight that that you have a conflict of interest that you need to declare? Council item number 5, the firm I'm employed with is the engineer of record for Vineyards Phase 11, just need to disclose that. And item number 6, the firm I'm employed with is the engineer of record for the Solis subdivision. Close that as well. Anybody else got anything? Okay, we'll dive right into the working agenda then. We do have 3 public hearings tonight. The first public hearing is to receive public input regarding a water rate increase from the Washington County Water Conservation District to purchase wholesale water. The city finds it necessary to amend the city water rates to reflect the increase of 10 cents per 1,000 gallons from water purchased from the Conservation District. We've had a presentation on this already, council. Is there any questions? I know Dustin's ready to answer questions if council has any. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and declare this public hearing open and ask anyone who's come to speak on this item to come to the microphone, state your name and your address. Seeing no one, we'll go ahead and close that public hearing. Go to the second public hearing, which is 5A2. This is a public hearing to receive public input regarding the City of St. George Regional wastewater rate increase by $1.50 per month per ERU effective July 1, 2023 to cover the cost of replacement and upsize of the project. Council, this is a pass-through increase. Our fees from St. George were increased. We're just passing that through to residents. I know Dustin's prepared to address this as well, but is there any questions on this item? We've talked about it before. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing and invite anyone who's come to speak on this item, give them the opportunity. Seeing no one, we'll go ahead and close that public hearing. Move to the third public hearing. Item 5A3, this is a public hearing to receive public input regarding the fiscal year 2023-2024 tentative budget. Council, you've had numerous presentations on the budget. And Brock, has there been any changes to the budget that you'd like to discuss before we open the public hearing?
The only thing I'd add is as we continue to work through this, we did our fund balance being used to balance the budget is down to $444 to balance the budget. So we are continuing to look at that and think there's still some places where we can save as well. So we'll keep looking at that before we bring it back on, I think, June 10th for the final budget adoption though. But that's where we're at tonight. Than that, no significant changes though from the previous discussion.
Have you had any requests for the public for information regarding the budget?
I have not been made aware of any.
Okay. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing to receive public input regarding the fiscal year 2023-2024 tentative budget. Ask anyone who has come to speak on this item, give them the opportunity. Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Move on to item 5AB, the consent agenda. Council, before you tonight, you have the approval of the claims and minutes for the May 10th regular city council meeting. The work meeting for May 17th is not in your packet. Those aren't ready. That'll move to our next meeting. And you have the claims through May 24th. The calendar of events, June 14th is the regular city council meeting. The 21st is the work meeting. The 28th is again, the regular city council meeting. Is there any question on the consent agenda? Council? Okay, if there's, I would look for a motion to approve the consent agenda if there's no question.
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Jarrett and a second by Denny to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any question on that motion? This is a money item, roll call vote. Jarrett?
Aye.
Denny?
Aye.
Krista?
Aye.
Lena?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Guys have it 5-0. Thank you, council. Moving on to item C1, discussion and action to approve the proposed water rate increase from the Washington County Water Conservancy District to purchase wholesale water. City finds it necessary to amend the city water rates to reflect the increase of 10 cents per 1,000 gallons from the district, and also approve resolution 2023-08R. Dustin?
I think I've explained this enough to you. Do you have any questions for me?
Any question?
So you mentioned in the introduction that the increase can be used for additional O&M. Do you have anything in mind for what that would be needed for?
Well, just looking at our budget year that we're in right now, for instance, our fuel, we budgeted $9,000. Up to date, we've spent 12. Water meters, we budgeted $30,000. We're almost to $52,000 just with the rising cost in brass and copper and miscellaneous fittings. Water line repairs, we budgeted $25,000. We've spent almost 23. Sure we'll exceed that this year. Power for the wells, $120,000. Overtime, $9,000 over what we budgeted. If you look at labor costs, you know, we used to start people $15, $16 an hour. Now they won't even talk to you for 20. Things like that. PVC pipe is constantly going up and parts are just constantly rising. You know, I look at doing Vineyard Drive. You know, we were able to pay for that and not have to bond. If I can do a street or two a year, not have to do an enormous bond like we did up there in the Heights, this is money that would help go to that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions for Dustin? Okay, I'd look for a motion, council, if there's no more questions.
I move that we approve the proposed water rate increase from the Washington County Water Conservancy District to purchase wholesale water to reflect the increase of 10 cents per 1,000 gallons and resolution 2023-08R.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Krista to approve the increase, second by Jarrett. Any question on that motion, council? This is a money item. Roll call. Jarrett?
Aye.
Denny?
Aye.
Krista?
Aye.
Lena?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you, council. Item C2, discussion and action to approve the City of St. George Regional Wastewater Rate increase by $1.50 per month per ERU effective July 1, 2023 to cover the cost of replacement and upsize project and resolution 2023-10R. Dustin?
Again, I think we've had enough discussion on this. If you have any questions for me.
Questions, council? There's no questions. I'd look for motion.
I move that we adopt resolution number 2023-10R, a resolution amending the wastewater service rate fee, raising it from $12.65 to $14.15. Current rate from $24.55 to $31.15.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the proposed $1.50 a month per ERU increase effective July 1,
Excuse me,
2023.
I made a mistake on the numbers.
Okay,
Where our new rate will be $26.05
Correct.
on residential and $32.65 on commercial.
on commercial.
There you go.
On the second,
Yep.
questions, council? This is a money item, roll call vote. All in favor, Ben,
Aye.
Lena,
Aye.
Krista,
Aye.
Denny,
Aye.
Jarrett?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you, council.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dustin. Item number C3, consider approval of fiscal year 2023-2024 tentative budget and ordinance 2023-11. Debbie?
Yeah, Debbie's there. I'm filling in. She just got back from a conference.
Okay.
Finance Officers Conference in Portland, but stated our current year budget here for fiscal year 24 is going up 2% from just over 9 million to 9.1 million. We're only using 444,000 of fund balance to balance the budget at this time for the general fund. Just add a couple key things in there. One is we talked about the expenditures that are in here that are that have caused for the increase a little bit is was talked about. We have the data puzzles, which is an increase, but with all revenue will come back as we sell those puzzles. We have engineering for Vineyard Drive phase. In the streets, in the parks, we have purchase of a backhoe, another Abbey field groomer, and a mower, which is increased there. So those are kind of some of the big items in the general fund. Impact fees, the budget's 467,000. We have Tolbert Park, money in there for Tolbert Park as we start the process in that. We also have for a traffic signal at Red Mountain and Pioneer, engineering for splash pad pickleball court. So those are things in the impact fees. And then we have capital projects, which has Vineyard Drive Phase 2 and also the BMX parking lot. So those are out of that side. Enterprise funds, the water fund is at just over $3 million. We have some bigger projects in there in dealing with secondary water, many of those with Solus and Black Desert. We also the Crestview irrigation line and then a PRV upsize, which makes up 853,000. Minus those projects, which some of those are impact fee eligible. If those projects weren't in there, we would actually our budget would be less than this current year's budget. But those projects that they're to be done and is for the main big increase within the water fund. Sewer is at just over $1 million. There, they also have some upsizing in the Silverado and Solus developments. The electric fund is at 8.5. As discussed previously, $1.25 million increase in power purchase costs is in there, as well as an increase in bonds for the new generators. We have increased cost into running those. We've budgeted pretty, I'd say a little high with the purchase of natural gas for those generators. Hopefully natural gas stays down, but there is an increase there of about a little over $200,000 increase in that. So those are the big increases there in the power. And then stormwater is probably closest to this current year's budget. It's only 770,000 up from 703. any real significant changes in there, they're just little small increases, payroll. Probably is the biggest side is payroll and benefits, so. And that's what I have for there on the budget.
Thank you, Brock. Any questions for Brock, council? If there's no questions, then I would look for a motion to approve the fiscal year 2023 tentative budget and ordinance 2023-11.
I'll make a motion that we approve the fiscal year 2023 tentative budget and ordinance 2023-11 as presented.
Second that.
Got a motion by Lena, a second by Krista to approve the fiscal year 2023-2024 tentative budget and ordinance 2023-11 as presented. Any questions on that motion, council? Again, money item, roll call vote. Ben?
Aye.
Lena?
Aye.
Krista?
Aye.
Denny?
Aye.
Jarrett?
Aye.
The ayes have it unanimously. Thank you, council. Item number C4, discussion regarding a separate impact fee for townhomes and single-family homes. Dustin?
There's a couple other things I wanted to talk to you about in the latest version of the water master plan update also, along with the townhouse impact fee. We have decided that we'd like to add water share purchases as one of the projects because it's impact fee eligible due to new growth. Sunrise Engineering has looked at the available acreage out for development and how many shares of water we would need to purchase. That sum comes out to about $363,000.
How many shares is that, Dustin?
I haven't got that number, but I can get that for you. With that, the project costs go up. So along with that, so will the water rate and the impact fee. So I'll just fill you in on the water rate real quick. It's about 2 cents per 1,000 gallons is what we're going to raise that to. So right now, well, after tonight's raise, we went to 90 cents. That'll be 92 cents is what to purchase the water shares inside the impact fee study will raise the water rate 2 more cents. I've also been asked to look at a separate impact fee for, Brock, not there. A separate impact fee for townhouses. Can you go to the other attachment I sent Selena, the longer one? And go to page 44 if you can. While she's getting there, I'll just start reading some of this. Santa Clara City provided estimations of future townhome development. Those values incorporated with zoning density suggested an estimated 30% of new growth may be townhomes. If this is the case, the city could charge a maximum impact fee of $1,823 per townhome and $3,585 per traditional ERU, which is a single family home. Is that something that council feels that they would like to look at? Our original impact fee, was about $2,900 for any structured townhouse versus single family. So this is going to raise that to a single family to $3,500 and a townhouse down to $1,823. What's your feelings on those?
Is that the 50% usage? What's it based on?
That's a 0.30.
That's a 0.30.
Mhm.
So
For
0.30
townhouse.
acre feet per year per townhomes and
0.59 for single
the
family.
Single family.
Yes.
So that's how you ran that number, just on strict what the usage is and
It's the maximum allowable usage.
Mhm. That's also with the estimation that 30% of our future development is townhouses. That could change. That's just what our zoning shows now.
what if that does change, Dustin? What if it goes to 35%? Does that hurt your revenues?
We'd have to amend this and change our rate.
But I mean, if we're building them, all of a sudden they come in and then you've already collected that, at what point do you
You probably just have to pay attention to it. And if you saw a trend,
kind of see it there?
I mean, it's probably something to discuss if you were getting zone change requests or as part of your zoning. How's
Yeah.
that mix fitting your assumption that you've made in your capital facilities plan? And if you were approving more single family, or more of the other, you may have to go back and adjust your impact fees to kind of
Yeah.
match, keep track of it. You never be able to outguess it all the way. You just have to monitor as you develop and try and stay as close as you can.
Yeah, well, again, the numbers make sense. I've always felt there should be a split there. It just seems like it's quite a
Big split.
It's a big split.
But
in
it's-
my mind, it was
It's half.
Yeah, I was thinking, okay, there's gonna be. And you're gonna have a separate meter, in a townhome project, you're gonna have a separate meter for irrigation and for, for all your amenities that are out there. Those will have their own meter. They're part of the common
Yep.
HOA, but
And then you've got the water conservation ordinance that's kicking in on them too,
yeah.
or they have to do the detailed irrigation plans and
Yep.
all of that other fun stuff.
I mean, it helps us get to the,
It's to the-
town helps us big time get to the number that we're trying to get to. My concern is we've seen a lot of townhomes and I do think you're gonna see a decent amount does that gap get closed a little bit just early on going? Is it, I don't know. I guess that's kind of the question I'm asking is, are you feel good with that? Or do you feel that should be a little less on the single family, a little more on the
They're
townhome?
using half the water, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. I think it helps us.
I see what you're saying, but if you look off water usage, that's the impact.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree.
So,
Isn't that counter to what you were told?
yeah, so Brock, can you bring up that picture? So I attended a meeting at the League of Cities and Towns put on by is it Jordan Valley Water District, I believe? And it's correct that townhomes and apartments use less water per unit. But what he presented was really interesting, that they actually use more water overall than single family homes because of the density, basically.
Mhm.
So Brock, if you can maybe just zoom in a little bit so that you can see the numbers. When he put this up, I was like, is that really right? And so you can see like townhomes end up using more water overall based on the density. So he's using like the same amount of land between the three different units or three different types of use. And so I guess the question is, do we want to encourage more townhomes with a lower rate on the impact fees? Because it may make us go out and look for more water, basically.
Yeah, look at his densities. His townhome density is 18 units to the acre. His apartment is 60. Our townhome densities, the max, if they did something, it'd be 12.
Well,
And from what I'm seeing you guys do to the last project to come through, it might be 7.
mhm.
So there's a big
60 apartments
difference.
to the acre.
Yeah, well, look at the indoor use, because that indoor use on the townhome number up there is based on 18 units the acre.
Mhm.
That gallon per capita per day is, all of those numbers are going to change when you reduce those densities down.
The other factor as far as the amount of impact fees that you collect is you're obviously collecting more units per acre. You're collecting more impact fees just in terms of the number of fees that are paid, not in dollars, but I think that as far as the total amount of impact fees collected, that definitely offsets it somewhat.
Well, and you're able to stretch, the growth's gonna come, and so the intent is how do we build for how do we develop for the growth and have the water, and so you're trying to get those numbers down while your higher densities you're taking it from what are we now, 0.82,
0.71.
0.71, we were 8.2 a few years ago, weren't we, or something like that, and 7.1, now we're at 0.59, and now we're talking 0.30 in townhomes, and you're basically just stretching that same use out. And we probably need all of that, probably not to those densities. I'm looking at those apartments and we're looking in St. George at like 22 per an acre and we're
Yeah.
showing 60 there per an acre. So, and 22, I think is your high density. I think that's as high as they go over there.
That's
So,
a real downtown density, that 60 units per acre. Most of the suburbs up north are 20 to 25 units per acre max for apartments. You said 22.
yeah,
60's high, 400 south, along where there's tracks. There's some high density projects like that in downtown Salt Lake.
Yeah, because that really high use on the townhome and apartment indoor is based on a lot of.
A lot more density than we have. Okay, that's why I wanted to show it to you guys because it just caught me off guard for sure. So it'd be interesting to, yeah, maybe I'll work on that, like scale it down to what we're seeing here and see how it compares.
It'd be interesting to see
yeah.
when we get Desert Village occupied, when we get Heritage
Mhm.
Point occupied, to be able to compare there, and you get a year or two running occupied, to see what their combined water use is for that number of units or that density. And then you could compare that to a single family neighborhood, one of the new ones, and see. Then you'd
You do
have
that with Tuscany right now
We could look at Tuscany, maybe even Desert Village.
and Black
Blackhawk.
Blackhawk.
Mm-hmm.
They've been around for a couple of years.
Yeah.
The thing though is that none of those are hooked up on the secondary. But, and so you'd have to make the assumption, and none of them are under the landscape ordinance.
Right.
I think
they-
you kind of have to let that landscape ordinance kick in if you're gonna do a true comparison.
They are on a common
They're
irrigation.
on common, but their
Yeah.
common area wasn't designed to meet the
No,
landscape
it
ordinance.
wasn't.
Was Desert Village not?
They probably did.
Desert
the way they
Village is
did
on
it.
secondary.
Yeah, and the way they landscape, they would probably meet the
Mhm.
landscape ordinance.
Probably why, because it just
Right.
looks like that would,
Yeah,
They
I
did.
don't think that Blackhawk would, because they got that huge common area in the middle. And no idea on Tuscany. Tuscany might meet it because you don't see nothing growing in there.
Mm-mm.
I don't think they have any grass.
Yeah, and so that one, you could probably look at that one and see.
Mhm. So is that something guys would like to entertain?
I think I would. From my side, I think it gives, when we talk affordability, a lot of the big complaints is our impact fees and, I mean, right now I pay the same impact fee at my house as somebody paying for a 1,600 square foot townhome.
Mhm.
So I do think it does help our affordability aspect of it, whether that gets passed on to the buyer or not. I don't know. The market's going to determine what that costs here, but you are hearing that already. You're hearing, again, we're hearing townhomes being advertised in the 350s again. We haven't heard that in 2 years. So I do think it helps us. So from my side, I think it's a good thing. I just, if for some reason we start to look that we're exceeding that 30%, we might need to amend it a bit and
Mhm.
go from there.
I'll make some comparisons on our existing development. Bring it back for another discussion.
Yeah.
And then while I've got you, one other thing I've been asked to do is look at a impact fee reduction if the lot has a secondary water connection, something similar to what the Conservancy District does. So the first thing we did was we looked at the total number of projects in our project list is 22% of them are irrigation projects. The remaining 77 are culinary projects. So if we took an impact fee that calculated that 22%, it would give a lot with a secondary water connection, an impact fee of $26.89 versus a single family lot without that secondary connection of the 34.56. Does that make sense?
Do they pay an impact fee on the irrigation separately? Is there a separate connection fee for that as well already?
Dustin,
But-
I'm sorry, I didn't mean
Go
to
ahead.
interrupt. I was just going to say, we discussed this a little bit before, and so I wanted to just comment for the council's benefit. I think it's important that we look at this a little bit differently than the water district does, because the water district is is actually giving an impact fee discount in return for something, which is essentially a conservation easement on a lot. And we're not going to be doing that. And so we need to be able to identify what the credit that we're giving is associated with. So for example, we've talked about these new subdivisions that are bringing shares of water to the city. We've basically just treated that as an exaction to this point and said, you just have to do it, because that's the impact of your development. But once this is implemented, we can actually identify a portion of the impact fee that's associated with the dedication of those shares to the city and give them that credit back. And so I think we may need to look at it, and obviously this is something for the engineers to determine, but my thinking is that we may need to look at it potentially in two ways. One, do they have a secondary connection? And two, did the developer actually bring water with the project? And those would be the two things that they can get some kind of an impact fee credit for. And I like that a lot from a legal perspective, because I think it's more defensible legally than if we just say, you have to bring water. I'm sorry, you just have to bring water for your project. And that's what we've been doing, which is okay, but this is better because we do it within an impact fee that's been recommended by an engineer that falls under the impact fee statute and so on. So anyway, I think that's a positive thing, both for the city and for the developers and residents, that we'll be able to do that.
And wouldn't it encourage that as they're coming? I mean, obviously now it's set there. It seems like it would encourage developers to, hey, look, there's a savings there. We can.
Yep.
So it just may make that transition a lot easier. Ultimately, we know what we need. We need to get those shares. We need to, as we move through, we need to get more secondary out there. That's the way we're going to stretch that resource. But it seems like that would just give you the ability to say, hey, it's clear right here. This is what your savings is. This is what you're getting for it.
Yep. By providing that secondary connection, by providing water, you get this discount on the district fees, and you also get this credit against your city impact fees. So yeah, I see it as a win-win for everybody.
And then we just ran a second scenario on this and just did it like the Conservancy District does, which is a 50% discount. And that would take them down to $2,000.67 impact fee for if the lot has a secondary connection. And then if the lot doesn't, it runs it up to $41.33. So I don't think that's the greatest scenario to go with. I really like the 22%.
Do you know, like on a standard development, if that 22% would be close to what it costs them to bring water? Have you looked at that at all? Like, do those numbers match up? Are we giving them a little extra bonus for bringing their own water? Do they have to still make up a difference?
I think it's pretty close. It depends on what the water shares are worth at the time.
Right. But I agree with everything Matt said. I think it's a great idea to tie it to them bringing water.
The other thing we're talking about doing, council, is remember the will serve letter process requires those impact fees to be paid at platting. That would happen on the city water impact fees as well. They would be paid when they plat the subdivision, when they create the lot, not when they do the building permit.
Mm-hmm.
So there's right now you have, some developers will go the cheapest rate possible and pass as much of the cost they can to the building permit because they may not pay that. But to even it out, I think we would collect all those impact fees at the time the will serve letter is granted, because at that time we have to basically ensure that water is available. Not when the building's done, when the plat's recorded and the lot's created.
Well, it certainly ought to be something that we can look at, implement, and then review. I mean, to me, I think you'd know a lot better a year after you've implemented exactly where you stand, but
sure,
it ought to be something we ought to look at doing to encourage that. And then a year from now, review it and see whether it really has been beneficial or whether it's not, and work from there.
I agree. And that study states this, that this should be reviewed in a year.
Question on the ERU. It's a single family home, right?
Mhm.
Is it a 800 square foot single family home or a 6,000 square foot single family?
You don't know until they pull that building permit.
That's one of the things he's gonna study.
Well, it's just, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, with the last two subdivisions that come in, these are very large lot. I anticipate these are going to be very large homes. But the impact fee that they pay is the same as if someone built 1,000 square foot on a vacant lot in the Heights.
Mhm.
Their water consumption is larger.
Mhm.
The infrastructure requirements to provide for it are bigger,
Mhm.
but they're not paying any more. And I know that opens another can of worms for you, but is it something we want to think about?
I'll keep
Base it
digging
on
as long as you
bedrooms,
want me
base
to.
it on bathrooms, base it on fixture units. Something to look at, to check that ERU calc, to make sure that we're being equitable for those large mansion homes versus the affordable home, because right now we're kind of penalizing the more affordable home to,
Don't you think you could just do it off the square footage?
I think you probably could, or the number of bedrooms and baths. I know like on a septic tank design,
Mhm.
it's based on number of bedrooms. That's a pretty good indicator of the effluent,
Mhm.
which is a pretty good indicator of the water coming in. There's got to be something out there to be able to allow that to happen. You're the plumber, dude.
Well, I was gonna say, there's so many more, I look at our house, I've got an accessory dwelling. This all on the same meter. I've got 3 nieces and nephews living with me and a couple college kids that are starving college kids. They're all taking shit. You know, there's just things in there you just don't, it's just so hard to understand what that use is, but under our ordinance with accessory dwellings, that's all on the same, it's all same metering.
It's all same.
You know,
impact.
so you're basically in a way, I mean, I look at my house almost like a single family residence and a townhome, you know, all in one. I've got my in-laws there living there and I embarrassed to say, I don't even know what the water use is, but I'm sure. So I don't know the right answer in that and but that's been the whole thing is for so long, we're trying to encourage affordable housing and yet just in the impact fee, it just seems so, I mean, they were so close.
Mhm.
Like that entry level home versus someone building their dream home or, those numbers are kind of the same. And so
Think about it. The power kind of catches itself because they end up upsizing their meter.
And sometimes
Right.
water does too.
I was gonna say, you've got water rates, they tier up
How many-
water use. So
How many more than 3/4 inch meters do you put in though?
It's not very often. There's a few down in Cottonwood that requested a 1-inch meter. There's a few around town, but not very many.
3/4 does really great at our place. I mean, there might be times it's smoking in there, but it seems to work just fine.
So Mayor, are you talking about like truing up the impact fee once you know what's going to be built on that lot?
Yeah, or even another category.
Like a second?
Like, a
Water.
1-bedroom to a 3-bedroom is this, a 3-bedroom to a whatever is that?
You'd have to be able to determine that at the plat.
That's a
At the
problem.
time
If
of
we're collecting
plat.
a plat,
The
then
plat, that's tough.
Mhm.
Or maybe it's per, heck, I don't know. I'm just brainstorming.
Yeah.
But I see the inequity. I don't know how to fix it. I'm just wondering if they've had that inequity in other communities and
I'm sure they have.
how did they fix it?
Yeah, I'll find out.
Would it be, because you're paying for your impact fee at permit. So at that point, you're looking at
But the water one, we're talking about moving it up to the plat.
Mhm.
oh, you are?
Previously at plat, I mean, years ago it was, I believe, half. They did half the water, half the power was all done at plat. And then at the building permit, they paid the other half, which could be an option to do is just go back to half and then depending on your
And
side.
then
you could
catch
do
it up at the
additional.
building permit. I
Yeah,
mean, you
building
could look at something like.
Is there a benefit to grabbing it at plat?
Well, the benefit of having the plat is that we have to be able to provide it. So we have to, when subdivision comes in, we have to go buy irrigation shares or expand our wells to facilitate it.
Yeah.
It's platted. It's vested because the will serve letter is basically guaranteeing water.
The only reason I ask, and this is, I've been on both ends of this, so we have lots that the impact fee was paid the minute it was platted. They recorded it was paid. It was $3,500.
Well, and the water district used to require that.
They used
Unless-
to need it, yeah.
Unless you did
Come
it.
after me a couple times.
I did, actually. Yeah, they would allow it. They would allow you to defer it sometimes, but
And I think from the water district side, and maybe there's some legal wrangling and trying to collect that, but if I pay it at plat and then I sit on that lot for 20 years, I mean, we literally have fees that were paid that were $4,000 that would have been $13,000 today. So we're high-fiving when those are done, and it's like, but the impact really doesn't take place. I know you have to provide the resource and guarantee the resource, but the impact never really takes place until you build it. And now there's a,
New will serve letters have a date or a sunset clause. They're good for X period. And then you fall out of your guarantee and you have to go back through the process to get it back.
yeah. And I don't think it plat's a big deal. I just, from a city side, I just say that there's
Well, and
possibly revenues that are,
that created rushes. I mean,
yeah.
they heard you were going to raise impact fee, all of a sudden they'd all be in buying their impact, their lot fees before the impact goes up. And I mean, and maybe the 50% would be a way of checking that. At least you get some money up front for impact to put it in. And then at building, you adjust it according to size.
Yeah, I don't think it's, again, I'm just saying that from a revenue side. It's, again, every December, sure enough, December 20th, we look at all the permits coming up and we make a call over and which ones haven't been paid. We rush down and make that because it's going up $1,000 January 1st. And so we, and just, I've always wondered that, like, did the Conservancy benefit from that, or has it actually hurt them in the long run with these lots that, they get paid early on and then sit for 20 years or 10 years and they're already paid? I don't know the answer to that. Just,
Yeah, and I think the times are different now. Where you have, back then there was a lot more water available. Now where they're looking at, the ability to service 78,000 if we get reuse in place, and having already approved at some point 72,000. It's not an endless supply that you can. It's like you're getting a ticket to the Super Bowl, and
There won't be a seat.
you don't show up, somebody else is getting that ticket. There's only so many seats. So anyway, I think Justin, if you could just look and see what some of the other communities have done relative to the size of that house.
Okay.
I'd like to see if we could do something on it to make it more equitable. And it may be a percent at plat and a percent at permit, and then you catch it up with the permit.
Yeah.
The final fee is based on.
The problem is you're gonna have to go after the homeowner, because a lot of times it's exchanged hands
yeah.
4 and 5 times, so it would be at
Whoever
Bill.
comes in.
It kind of feels like it's one way or the other, and maybe there is something when you get it on a larger home and that, but yeah, if it's a plat, it's a plat. That was my only question on that is.
And that really evens out the secondary shares doing it.
Mhm.
The secondary, I think, have to go up plat.
Okay.
Because you got the shares or they pay the fees in lieu of the shares at the plat. So that's taken care of. The home, you can talk a little bit about, see what some other people are doing.
All right, I'll bring this back for more discussion. Thank you.
This is so complicated.
Just trying to be fair.
I know. Thank you, Dustin. Lost my agenda.
Well, the ladies down here are all prepared. I know we are.
Okay. Discussion and action for abandonment of unused sewer easements at Vineyards Phase 11 subdivision, south of Vineyard Drive, north of Marion Court. Matt?
Yes, council members, I apologize for not getting these in your packet, but I wanted to at least get in front of you the visuals so you could see what we're doing here. We've taken some similar action recently in the Solace subdivision. It was discovered after the fact that there was still one public utility easement in Solace that we had not abandoned previously when we took the previous action. The Solace one is the sheet that you have that says unofficial copy on it because it's a printout from the county recorder's office. But so the Solace easement that is no longer needed because the subdivision has been recorded is a public utility easement. And then there are two sewer easements in the Vineyards Phase 11 subdivision. And those are the other two sheets that you have. One is highlighted in red, one in yellow. These are sewer easements that will no longer have never been used, will no longer be needed once the subdivision records. So similar to what we've done with respect to others recently, we're just asking you to approve the abandonment of these easements. That's basically it. I don't know if you have anything to add on these, Dustin. Okay.
These easements basically are replaced by the easements on the final plats.
Correct.
So the abandonment
Yeah.
will record the same time as the final plat, right?
Yep.
So in describing these in a motion, is there a particular way you want them described?
We need the vineyards separate from the Solace. They're separate on the agenda.
And, but then there's the third one.
There's
two
there's
vineyards
two
together?
vineyards together. Yeah. And then one for Solace. separate.
Yeah. So I would say let's do one motion for Vineyards and one for Solace. I think it would be
That's how it is.
be fine. Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be fine.
I'd make the motion that we abandon the unused sewer easements for Vineyard Phase 11 subdivision, south of Vineyard Drive and north of Marion Court as presented.
Second.
Got a motion by Ben and a second by Krista to abandon the unused sewer easements in Vineyards Phase 11 subdivision as presented. Any question on that motion, council? Let's do roll call. Ben,
Aye.
Lena,
Aye.
Krista,
Aye.
Benny,
Aye.
Jarrett.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you, council. Item 6 is discussion and action for abandonment of an unused storm drain easement in the Solace subdivision. Matt's already talked about it. Anybody got any questions? I'd look for a motion.
I move that we abandon the unused storm drain easement and Solace subdivision as presented.
Second.
Oh, I beat you.
I'm sorry.
Motion by Jarrett,
Give it to Lena.
second by Lena.
Seemed
To,
like this happened last time, so I'm not sure how this happened again, but the Solace easement is actually a public utility easement is the way it's noted in the county records. So
Not an unused.
So I will amend my motion to be,
Yeah.
I move that we abandon the unused public utilities easement as presented in the Solace subdivision.
Second.
a motion by Jarrett and a second by Lena to abandon the unused public utility easement in Solace subdivision. Any questions on that? Let's do roll call again. Jarrett,
Aye.
Denny,
Aye.
Krista,
Aye.
Lena,
Aye.
Ben.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, council. Wow. Never thought we would get here by 6. Reports, mayor and council reports, man.
We deserved a good one. So I'll keep it short. I just wanted to know where we are. I don't know, as far as the engineering for the retaining on Little League. They've started fundraising campaigns. I think they're gonna have the revenues to do all that. I think it's the engineering part of it. You know where we're at?
Yeah, I met Wayne Rogers down there and he's gonna donate a design for that. Should have it any day. But we had kind of opted, since the season's already started, wait until it's over or start construction.
Do we need anything from Little League on that? Do you know, as far as the ability to build it or things like that?
Sure.
Just let us know. I think they're very anxious to get going. So I know a guy with a mini X that would love to get going on that, but do you know if it's going to include, is there some drainage that would be on top of the wall behind it, to catch some? Okay,
Gravel pack, fabric and drains.
perfect. Okay. The only other thing I have, Mayor, maybe this is for Brock, is I am in Germany for June 1st city council meeting, and I'm trekking with 50 young men across Boulder Mountain for the second city council. I'm here for the work meeting. I can jump on in Germany for one, but I don't think I'm going to get you for, so I'm just thinking for budget, is that going to cause as far as scheduling, I could,
As long as we have,
I'll be on,
Three
the
here.
s- I'll be on the same 50 miler.
well, that's,
Yeah.
so that's on the second one.
That's the second one,
That's
so-
budget amendment.
okay.
So as long as Lena and
We would
Councilwoman Mathis and Hinton and Councilman Drake
still
are
need
here.
you three here.
Okay, what?
So that-
The 28th.
That's the 28th, and I just wanted to know if we needed to move that.
You're here.
Unless I can find a 50 miler.
Jared's gonna be on that. I didn't know you were going, so 50 might be enough. We may have more than that when we're all said and done, but we've got some. But my only reason for bringing it up is if it did cause conflict on that one, the possibility of maybe flip flopping to, but I think we've already,
Sounds like we're gonna have three here, so.
okay. That's all I wanted to say. We'll be thinking of you.
Where you going?
Boulder Mountain.
Not very much, though.
No,
That's all I have, Mayor.
it's my first.
Oh, you're in for fun.
I've done pretty.
That's why I walk the way I do.
It's, you know, I have young men that have been on multiple of these that have actually asked to go again. So it's not easy. We stuff them at Ruby's Inn on the morning and then we hike them up to 11,000 feet that day. But it'll be good.
Growing pains.
Yeah.
Lena?
I don't have a whole lot. We had our first LPC meeting. Interims started. There's not a ton going on, but I have talked to Representative Walter, and he told me last week that there are already 500 bill files that have been opened so far since interim started.
Has anybody requested the governor cancel the legislative session?
Not to my knowledge. I did tell him that we'd like to have a discussion specifically about TRT tax, because I know that was a big one that Brock wanted. He said he's going to be in town for a few weeks and he'll get with me to let me know when he'd be available to have that conversation. So,
Okay.
Great.
let's see, what else do I have? Heritage, we met last week and had a really good meeting. It was about a commercial property on Santa Clara Drive. And I've actually had a member of the commission, I haven't talked to you yet, Jim, because she called me this afternoon, but I had a member of the commission call me and would like to have some conversations about what we want commercial buildings within the historic district to look like, realizing that the design guidelines that were put into place really address the residential structures and the look of residential structures, but don't necessarily address what may happen if a residential structure has to be torn down and a commercial use goes into that place as to what that building may look like. So my suggestion to her was we should look at that as part of our general plan study and include that and have the residents give us their opinions of the types of, specifically what types of commercial like looking buildings they may want to have downtown to keep the historic feel. So if you can put that on your radar. I think it's a great idea. I've thought a lot about it since we had our meeting last week, and I think there's some really clever things that we could do to keep the historic nature, realizing that you may not be able to salvage every commercial building from an engineering standpoint. They're just really old. So, and I think that's all of my report, but I have a couple questions. One, did we ever do anything with the census? And we were going to get back with them on the census to look at our numbers. Did we ever do that?
I haven't recently, so I'll
Okay.
have to follow up on that.
Okay. And then my second question was, we had talked one time about doing the conservation easement with our ground up along the parkway. Have we pursued, or is there anything we would need to do to pursue doing that in the lava fields?
The lava
specifically?
fields south of Pioneer
Uh-huh.
Parkway.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we actually have done work on a draft. We just have not brought it back to you because it's been kind of low priority. But if you want me to bring it back and work on it some more, we can definitely do that.
It was just opinion of one, but given all of the construction going on up there, the public hearing signs going on up there, people are pretty nervous.
Yeah.
So I think I'd like to see that come sooner than later.
Okay. Yep. We can make that a priority.
And that's all I have.
Thank you, Lena. Krista?
Just a,
Speaking about that, I've had Matt Brower call me a number of times. He's done some conservation easements up in the area that he's in, that he's been
Heber.
in the city, in Heber, the city manager up there. And for some reason, someone here told him we were talking about doing it. And he said if we needed any help, he'd certainly be willing to help. Where's Matt at?
What city's he at?
Heber.
Heber.
Heber City.
Heber City. Still got his house up in the Heights, but
But I mean, we really we have the expertise here to do it. We've got the entity that would take it over and the whole work. So all we need to do is drop the dock.
okay. Krista?
Sorry, Krista.
oh, that's okay. Just a puzzle update. I have sent that updated sketch to you all, and they would like our revisions by the end of the week so they can start painting. So if you'll take a look and give me anything you would like changed, I will send that on to them.
That's it?
Mhm.
Danny?
Actually, our solid waste district was canceled. The manager was out of town, and so I have nothing.
Yeah.
Two things. So Utopia has finished the first phase of the fiber installation in Santa Clara. So it's basically all the Heights plus Bella Sol are included in that. It looks like maybe not Paradise Village. Looks like it's not in this. So that's interesting. So that's the Heights too, but they're not done in there. So I was actually able to sign up. I already have my things signed, and maybe I'm the
Gonna get
first
service
really.
along.
I don't know, but they sent, so what you do is you go to their website, click sign up, they verify your address. Lena's already tried and it shows she's not available. So I might take a phone call, but for me, it came right up, and then you just choose your provider, and they sent me back the documents to sign probably within 20 minutes. So maybe it's an automated thing. I don't know. But, and one thing of note was there are some like basic internet plans, which I thought was kind of interesting, that are less expensive than what we anticipated. So your bill could be as low as I think $60 a month, or we'd said before 65 was probably the lowest. So that's good.
So all the commercial has the ability to
Picture.
up there as well?
I don't know. I would assume so. I know when you click in there, if it thinks you're a business, it sends you to a different web page. And so I think they want you to like contact them directly if you're a business because it's a different agreement. But yeah,
I get that.
it should be available up there for sure. So that's a very exciting thing, much anticipated. And then just want to report, I had a meeting with the power department last week. I sat down with Kate and Gary to discuss kind of our social media plan for kind of just being a little bit more on the positive and trying to be a little more out in front of the PCA coming up this summer. I know a lot of people are worried about my bill is this much now. What's it going to be in the summer? And so we worked on some language to put in an infographic that we could post and then boost that. We talked about videos, probably a goal of like 1 video a month, just describing something in the power department that's positive. And that'll be more just to kind of demonstrate we're not asleep at the wheel. We really are engaged. We really are trying. And then we discussed the possibility of replying to comments because we know we expect quite a bit of negative feedback if we post something about the PCA. And so Brock gave us some guidance on that, and I agree with that. And so Kate and I can follow that guidance. And the idea was basically just acknowledge the comment and then redirect to a source to help them understand it better or to get an answer from a city staff or something like that, not argue or fan the flames or anything, but to not just let it run rampant, like to actually be involved a little bit as a city in that post. And I think that's it.
Thank you, sir. The water group met, talked a lot about the AAC, the administrative committee that's gonna be reviewing everything with the RWSA. Matt, they said that Jody was gonna try and schedule a meeting with city attorneys to review the new draft agreement. Has that happened?
I haven't seen anything yet.
Okay, I may follow up with that because we tried to put the heat on to get that happen before next week. Doesn't sound like that's gonna happen. Dustin, the district will assist city financially for new water development. Snow Canyon well. So that's something you may want to talk to about when you have your next TAC meeting. They did say they would be willing to look at that, possibly even the groundwater studies stuff. So talk to Scott, talk to Zach next time you get up there with that one.
A question for somebody has mentioned that Black Desert has a well in the lava field.
Not true.
Okay. I didn't think so.
He's made many claims in social media that he's got his own water and it's all false.
Thank you.
The developer has?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've repeated that to people.
You've told people they have a well?
So they have their own water.
They have water per an agreement with St. George City.
It comes from our.
That's the only water.
From our.
Comes out of the reuse pipe.
But they have no well.
No,
I mean, we're looking for a well in the lava field and can't. And in fact, it was the media that said that he had said he did have a well and he brought his own water.
I mean, they're paying for the water, but it's coming out of the St. George, coming out of the reuse pipe. The MPO met, talked about trail master plan projects that are on the MPO funding list. We've got, Red Mountain, some interloops trails. There's quite a few trails that are on that list in Santa Clara that a lot of them are up in the northern part of the heights on phase 1 and phase 2. Ryan's not here tonight. Had another update meeting on the Graveyard Wash Reservoir. They are still having issues with the BLM and the environmental study. BLM, for some reason, doesn't want the area to grow, so they're trying to block all the reservoir site right-of-ways. But they're proceeding with the design. They'll be accessing the top of the dam from the highway side. So there will be an access out to Old 91 for the highway. They're trying to acquire the Weston Hafen property along the highway without going to eminent domain. So they're still moving ahead on that, even though they're having some issues with the right of way. Um,
Is that the Conservancy District that's trying to acquire the property or the
It's-
city of St. George?
yes. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's it's both. They're working congruently. The district is taking the lead on the Hafen property right now because Ed Buller has a better relationship than the city of St. George does. But St. George is taking the lead on the design. And so it's the right of way is in the city of St. George's name, so they're the lead with the BLM. So they're working together on the project. One water. We've got a meeting tonight with the Santa Clara Irrigation Company. You guys are all invited to stick around. It starts at 7. We do have some concerns with their agenda that we'll be trying to speak to tonight in the meeting. Some changes that they're proposing to the bylaws to change the first right of refusal language that's in the existing agreement, be able to break things down into order shares. Some of the things I think we agree with, some of the things we're concerned about. And so we'll be trying to speak up tonight at that meeting and see what happens. But you're all welcome to attend. Should be a good time. Chief, are you going to be there? You have one of your guys close.
We
Okay.
need a red button.
Fires and gentlemen,
This might be-
so they used.
We're talking water here, so might need somebody close.
So Mayor, you had posted on social media about the guiding our growth survey. Do you want to bring that up at all?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw
I did it today.
did you
I
do?
filled it out.
It's a relatively painless survey that's coming out from the state
Mhm.
that talks about what you'd like to see in your future growth relative to housing and water development and transportation and open space.
Open space.
Is
yeah.
that for the state, the entire state, or just for local?
It's open for the entire state. It's through the governor's office. One of his,
So we
Economic
suggest
opportunity.
everything moves north of Nephi.
there's another box. You can fill it out, but the questions I thought were pretty well presented.
They were, and it gave you the option of like no growth or like moderate growth. Like you could really say what you wanted to say, like in the pre-canned responses. They're not holding anything back.
I anticipate that we'll get the results of that. Now it'll be statewide, whether they can break it down by region or community. We'll see.
You have to
But I
put in
would-
your zip code, don't you?
Yeah, I think you do. So there's
We should
probably a way to
post
track it.
it.
I just don't know how they're gonna release the data.
Yeah.
But I would encourage everybody to take a few minutes and do it. It's painless.
That would be worth boosting a post to the whole city about that.
And is it on
For
the
sure.
state website or what?
It was its own website, I think.
It was.
I sent it to you.
It's, I can tell you, it's guidingourgrowth.utah.gov.
It only took like 15 minutes. I mean, it
It
wasn't
wasn't
very
real
long.
long.
And the videos are good. Yeah, it was really good.
But yeah, I would encourage everybody to do that. I think that's all I had. Brock, did you have anything?
I do not.
Anybody on the staff side have anything you want to go through tonight? Appreciate you guys jumping on this down there. I don't know if they're getting any. I think the biggest issue is going to be when we have an event that slows things down on Santa Clara Drive, that we boost the enforcement on Vineyard. Appreciate that.
You've had a lot of people. It's been good.
I received a complaint from a resident who was nearly hit by a car, and the car kept going. And luckily, another resident was outside, saw it all happen, and came to her aid. She's hurting right now physically, and I'm not sure she could have got back up if somebody hadn't have been right there. So I got a hold of Chief, and they jumped right on it, and I appreciate that. Okay, well, there's no executive session tonight, right, Matt? All right, then I just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Ben and a second by Jarrett to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it unanimously. Thank you, council.